Hello everyone, Ryan Alice with SaaSRise here. Welcome to our next lesson. This is week 4, outbound prospecting. I'm excited to have you here. Let's full screen this and let's jump in. Here we go. So in this lesson, you're going to learn what to do with that ABM leads list you purchased or built in the last session, and you're going to learn how to put it to work to generate customers and revenue. We're going to be providing a model that you can use to generate between $2 to $5 million in additional ARR per year using outbound email, and even more if you also do outbound LinkedIn and outbound cold calling. Now, if you're a $100 million company, that's only going to move the needle a little bit. But if you're a $10, $15 million company in ARR, that's going to add some substantial revenue to your growth. And if you're a $3 or $4 million company, it could literally double your sales next year. So pay attention, implement this. You don't have to do it yourself, but you can get on a tool like Instantly and set it up yourself, or use a third-party SDR from a firm like Recruit or Wing Assistant to set it up for you very easily. So before you start this lesson, be sure you've created your leads list, because we're going to use that. If you don't have a leads list already, that is okay. We can always use the leads that are already in Instantly, but it's good to have at least looked through and sized up your market. The channels that tend to work in customer acquisition do vary based on target market, as we've looked at before. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at outbound email and outbound LinkedIn, which tends to work for mid-market and enterprise, where the ACV is at least 5,000 and up. You can make this work at the 2,500 ACV level, but it is harder, really around 5 to 10,000 and up, to make outbound prospecting work for you. So as always, the big picture view of the SaaS growth system: you start with your ABM leads list, and then you start running ads. You do your matched audience ads and your retargeting ads and all the other types of ads, and then you do your outbound prospecting once you've warmed up a list and made them aware of your brand. Today, we're going to be talking about that, the outbound prospecting. Here's how to turn cold contacts into warm contacts. This is a little magic alchemy here. This is the system we use at SaasRise. We start by getting our cold contacts within our ICP. We build our ABM lead list, and then we bring that ABM lead list into a tool like Instantly. Now, you could also use Apollo.io or SalesLoft or Outreach, but we really like Instantly because of the price and how well it warms up email inboxes and how good it is at providing unified inbox and some great analytics. You can use this process map to turn 100,000 B2B cold contacts within your target audience into about 20,000 warm contacts and about 500 active leads within 2 months or less. There's really 2 steps to this. After you build your ABM lead list, you add them to Instantly so that you can do your email sequencing. And those who reply positively, those who click, those who actually reply to the email, those who open multiple times, those are the people that you want to definitely add into your ad network matched audiences so you can show ads to. And you want to be able to do other things like send video AI emails using Potion. You do voice drop for ringless voicemails if you have the phone numbers. And if it's a high enough ACV, then you can have your SDR call them. If it's even higher ACV, 50K and up, you can do field sales or send them individualized FedEx gifts with their mailing address. And the people that are really engaging with your content, those people are going to go into your CRM. They're going to go on your newsletter. They're going to get into your Beehive or your CRM tool like high-level HubSpot or Salesforce, and they're going to get on your list. And that is how you turn cold contacts into warm leads and move them down the funnel. Those who don't open, those who click at all within 30 days, they just get removed from the list. Or if they unsubscribe, they, of course, get removed from the list as well. So this is how you do it. The higher your ACV, the more outbound you're going to do. I have a company, it's a client right now, that generates about 95% of their revenue. And this is a big company, about 60 million a year in ARR from cold calling and cold emailing. We're now just adding in the advertising, and that'll help them grow faster. But it wouldn't be surprising to see some enterprise companies do 50, 60, even 80% of their revenue from outbound prospecting through calling, emailing, and LinkedIn messaging. And sometimes field sales as well, which is a type of outbound. So the higher ACV, the more outbound is going to be profitable. Here's some math for you. Now, there's a spreadsheet. The link to the spreadsheet is in the actual course, but you can click on it and it'll open it up. Just make a copy, and once it makes a copy, you can edit the variables. You can, to put in your actual results or play around, and depending on the percentages you see here, you can generate between 2 to 5 million in additional ARR, depending on your ACV, depending on how big your target market is. just from this channel, just from outbound email per year. And so this is certainly a big opportunity here. Let's go back to the deck here. So in the mid-market, you're probably going to have, around 50,000 to 500,000 people in your target addressable market, depending on where you sell to and what job title. And that could be 20,000 companies with 5 or 10 contacts each, perhaps, for example. You're going to want to build the ABM list of that or get the leads from Instantly and then send out an email sequence. What I like to do is if my TAM was 300,000 people, I would add about 30,000 leads a month for 10 months. And I would just load them in to the top of the funnel. And then at the end of the 10 months, I'd start back over with the people I contacted 10 months ago with another 10 email sequence. In the mid-market, I like to do about 300,000 emails a month to make the math work. If you have a larger market size, 3, 4, 500,000 people in your TAM, then you can do higher volume. And, to get to 300,000 TAM would take 10 months with 30,000 leads per month added into the top of the funnel, about 1,000 a day. Now, if you're enterprise, that you don't really need to do as high a volume because your market might not be that big. There might only be 30,000 people in your entire market, 5,000 companies, 6 people each, 30,000 targets. So you're only going to maybe do 6,000 leads per month. And you don't have to do it as big of a sequence. You could do a 5 email sequence, 30,000 emails a month. All of that in both of these examples end up adding about 4 million in ARR per year just from outbound email. And you add on top of that what you could do with outbound LinkedIn, outbound cold calling if your ACV is high enough, and outbound field sales if your ACV is high enough, and outbound gift sending via the FedEx if your ACV is high enough. So this is a potential way to significantly increase your growth, and you got to do it at the right volume. Companies that come to me in the B2B space that say, hey, I tried outbound, it's not working anymore. Well, I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, they're only sending 5, 7, 10, 15,000 emails a month. That's not going to get you there. If you're in the mid-market, you got to be sending out at least 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 emails a month to make it work. And if you're an enterprise, then okay, fine, 10, 20, 30,000, 40,000 emails a month is fine. All right, so what do you do with this lead list? Once you've exported your leads list from the various platforms that we covered in the last lesson, if you need to, you can verify the emails using tools like Zero Bounce, Never Bounce, Million Verifier, or ListKit, which does free 50,000 verification credits to make sure you get a low bounce rate and a good inbox deliverability. Now, if you're pulling it over from Instantly, for example, a lot of times these are already verified. So you can use our favorite tool, Instantly, to automatically warm up 2 to 3 domains and a few email inboxes at each domain. You'll want to end up with 10 to 30 email inboxes to execute this strategy properly. Why? Well, because you're only going to be able to send about 300 to 500 emails per day per inbox. Some people say 50, but I think that's too conservative. I think 300 to 500 per day is fine as long as your list quality is good, you've verified your emails, and you've warmed up your domain for about 21 days. You want to warm up your domain for about that 21 days. Make sure you get all your DKIM records and SPF records and DMARC records right, which Instantly will help you with. And then you want to write a 5 to 10 email warm-up sequence with very high quality content. And you want to alternate high quality long form content with short form content designed to get a reply. You'll see some examples in the following slides. Set these emails 2 to 3 days apart. Automate them to go out around Monday through Friday, anytime from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. within the time zones that you're targeting, and aim for brand awareness, education, thought leadership, respect, clicks, and most importantly, replies. It's much easier to get a meeting from a reply. You'll convert about 20 to 30% of your replies into meetings when only about 3 to 6% of your clicks into meetings booked. So now that you've built your lead list, you've verified it, and you've got your content sequence, import the leads into Instantly or bring them over from Instantly, which has its own leads now. And you can enrich the data using fullenrich.com or Instantly or Clay. And then you can generate what's something very cool now. You can generate AI created personalized subject lines, AI created personalized first liners, and Gen AI created PS last endings. Now, I've seen those double the results here. And so if you're only getting 20% open rates, if you're only getting 1% reply rates, use AI for the first sentence, use AI for the PS, and use AI for the subject line based on the person's LinkedIn profile or based on a Google search about them. And you can do that right in Instantly. It's really cool. Now, assuming you're in the mid-market and it's sufficiently large of a market, start adding those 1,000 new leads per day into the sequence. You could batch them in all at once, but it would take a while to send out. I like to just do 1,000 a day, which would result in about 300,000 emails a month, which is the right number for the mid-market. 1,000 leads a day times 30 days times 10 emails in the sequence going out every 3 days. And you've gone through 30,000 leads in a month. Now, if your TAM is 400,000 people, of course, it's going to take a few months to get through the whole TAM, and that's okay. I think it's good to go through your whole TAM once or twice a year, at least, maybe even a little bit more with these 5 to 10 email sequences. You want to add the people who click on the content or open the content the majority of the time to your matched audience ad campaigns. These are interested, warm prospects. You can also add these people to your CRM tool when they start engaging with your content. And because they're already familiar with your brand, they already know who you are, they already know the value of your content and how targeted your messaging is, you end up having a very low spam ratio and you end up having a very rapidly growing email list. You can add these clicks to your retargeting ad campaigns as well automatically by having the 180-day retargeting pixels on Meta, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Google, on Audible, on YouTube. And then lastly, watch the leads flow in. Using this strategy, you can generate in the mid-market about 200 to 500 qualified leads per month. And in the enterprise segment, about 25 to 50 qualified SQLs per month. So big opportunity here. Let's break it through step by step. You verify the emails won't bounce, or just get already verified emails from ListKit or Instantly or Apollo. You warm up the domains in the inbox using these new tools on Instantly, which will auto warm up 10, 20, 30 inboxes for you in 3 weeks. And what's the difference, of course, between cold email versus spam? Well, outbound prospecting, B2B outbound prospecting, it's about high relevancy, the right list, high content value, respecting opt-out. Whereas spam, it's pray and spray. It's sending out hundreds of thousands of messages to people that they're not necessarily in that target market. And so if you're sending out 1 million emails to consumers trying to sell a weight loss pill, well, that is spam. But if you're sending out 10,000 emails that are directly going after the exact target market with something that is highly valuable, like a report, like we do at SaaSRise, these M&A reports that people love, 35, 40% open rates, 3-4% click rates. People are writing me replies to these cold prospecting emails saying, this is the best email I've ever seen. Thank you for writing this content. So invest in quality long form content, to the point short form email content, respect the opt-out. So, and read this quote. So cold email are like those friendly knocks on your door from a neighbor who just moved in. They introduce themselves, offer something of value. They're respectful of your time and space. They've done their homework. It's targeted. They know a little bit about you, and they make sure their message is relevant through Gen AI. This is outbound B2B sales email at its best. Personalized, purposeful, professional. Spam, on the other hand, it's the equivalent of throwing a bunch of flyers in your face over a fence, hoping someone picks it up. It's irrelevant, it's impersonal, and frankly, it's not what anyone asked for. These emails are the ones that fill up your junk folder and they don't get to the inbox. Don't do that. Do high targeted, high relevancy B2B prospecting emails, and this system will work. Spam's just not effective. It's going to cause spam complaints to be above the acceptable limit of 1 out of 200. Leading to terrible inbox deliverability. Your open rates will be 7% on spam, 5% on spam. With really high quality targeted content, you'll get 30, 35%. If you want some examples of real outbound sequences, there's 600 here listed. We will list these in the course notes. Take a look at this, copy and paste and edit it and put in some AI openers, some AI subject lines and some AI closers, and watch the results flow in. We like to alternate, as I've mentioned at SaaSRise, between long form content that establishes your founder, CEO, or head of marketing or head of sales as an expert in the field. You can see here an article I recently wrote, Making Ads Profitable, the 6 most effective ad types for B2B SaaS firms. So it says what it's about, who it's for, and what you're going to learn. Boom. This is long form content. And I don't expect people to read a 10-page email. What I expect them to do is take 30 seconds to scan it and then click on the website because they're interested. And then they're going to get retargeted until they eventually have time to come back and apply and sign up. I recognize it's not about closing them today. It's about closing them 30 days from now. And I want to make them aware of the brand so that they know who SaaSRise is. And then a month from now, they can apply. And then you want to go for the kill. You want to go for getting them in with a short form content, 50 words. And then the only CTA call to action on the right side is just apply to join. and we'll get about 3-4% clicks on that. That's how we've acquired, our 300 members and growing here at SaaSRise. Through, you can do an email sequence in Beehive. You can do an email sequence in any CRM tool. You can do an email sequence in High Level in HubSpot and Salesforce. We like to call it an indoctrination sequence because we are changing the awareness of our brand in a mind, and that takes quality content that is valuable and it gets through the clutter out there. And so we choose to be different by doing a combination of short form and long form. We'll cover more in the next section.